What is up, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today, we are breaking down everything week one, our top takeaways, and looking ahead to week two, Michigan versus Texas, top Eagles draft targets to watch. Joining us, he is Brian Reese at Philly Sports PSA. What's up, Brian?
Not much, man. What a fantastic weekend of games. Absolutely was all over the place, just watching any bit I could, and ready to talk a little week two, as there are some really good games week two.
Dude, it's never a dull moment in college football. Before we get into week two, let's kind of look back at some of the top takeaways of week one.
DJ Uiagalelei.
That sticker is so fitting, man. It's so like a lot of the graphics you just saw on there, I think, are my main takeaways. Literally, I'll just lead off with Nico Iamaleava. Looks absolutely legit, man. That guy has superstar written all over him. 6'6". He dominated last weekend, and I was so impressed. I can't wait to see what this kid looks like with more and more snaps, because this week was his first regular season start. I think not only is he a top 5 Heisman candidate, but I also think he looks pound for pound like one of the best college football quarterbacks there is. He looks really strong. And then T-Mac, I thought Tet McMillan of Arizona was absolutely dominant. He looks like a clone of like Mike Evans and Michael Pittman, a true X receiver. He looks like a future superstar in the NFL. 300 plus yards. Didn't even play the fourth quarter. Like I was just blown away by Tet McMillan. We call him T-Mac. What was your top takeaway?
Yeah, listen, you're right. And T-Mac, he didn't just dominate; he went absolutely nuclear. That Arizona offense certainly can be something special. But listen, I was interested in kind of some of the bigger matchups. The Georgia and Clemson, it was close there for a bit, a little bit back and forth, but Georgia obviously showing its dominance defensively, and Clemson offensively just couldn't get anything going. The Notre Dame, Texas A&M, kind of same thing, a back and forth game until Notre Dame finally kind of pulled it out there at the end. So, I was really just more interested in some of the great matchups that we had, in week one. So, kind of more, excited again to kind of get into, the week two matchups. Again, another slate of great games. Another, bunch of rivalries, a bunch of top schools going against each other. So it's going to be another exciting one.
We got Daniel in the house. What's going on? Thanks for joining. Antonio says, I was thinking about you during the entire Penn State game. West Virginia stinks, Antonio. I am never going to pick West Virginia again. The quarterback looks lost. They had 4 fumbles. They had I can't pronounce the quarterback's name. He threw an interception. They were just so unprepared. I think Penn State looked very good. Don't get me wrong. I think their offense was moving the ball down the field, which is something we didn't see at all. And then that Harrison Wallace guy, because that was the biggest question mark, right? Was the offense, and who are the skill position guys for Penn State? Who is going to step up at wide receiver? And Harrison Wallace had like 5 catches, 100 plus yards, and a touchdown. Could be a breakout star.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the running back, number 13, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Yeah, he caught that nice pass and fought his way into the end zone. Penn State, hey, great start. Yeah, I know you obviously didn't call it the right way, but it's all good.
There was a time early on in the game when Penn State was a little sloppy. I thought if West Virginia kind of handled their business a little better, it could have been a closer game. But hats off to Penn State. They played really well. Let's get into our top Eagles targets of the week. So I can find it. There it is. All right, top Eagles draft targets of the week. One of my favorite segments. Real quick, David is watching from Cedar Hill, Texas. What's going on? We're going to get into some Texas very, very soon. Number 11 on defense from Penn State. That's Abdul Carter. Had a quiet game, but I think like pretty much the entire West Virginia offense was planning against Abdul Carter, and they did a really good job of I thought Penn State really like that allowed a lot of other guys to kind of shine on that defensive line. Bama number 4 on defense was everywhere. Drawing a blank who that is, and so happy Penn State won. Ryan, do you want to go first or second? Who's your Eagles target?
I'll go first.
Go for it, man.
All right. Well, so my Eagles target this week, again, shocker, another linebacker. And I'm going with linebacker Jack Kaiser out of Notre Dame. This is a guy who was really good last night in their win against Texas A&M. Led the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in tackles. He's a guy that just kind of is that quarterback of the defense. He has amazing instincts, good play recognition, and constantly is able to be able to call out and diagnose pre-snap. Seems like he has experience at the Mike, the Will, or even the Rover positions. He's a guy that's sound tackler. Obviously, as I said, led the Fighting Irish in tackles last night. But he's a really good blitzer, able to kind of hit those gaps, and he's a guy that is the leader on that defense. And you absolutely saw it last night. The Notre Dame kind of leaned on him there when the game was kind of close and they needed kind of a big play. He was there right there on pretty much all of those big plays there towards the end that eventually led to the Fighting Irish getting the victory there. I just like this guy, as far as what he brings to the table, kind of intangible wise. I don't think this is a guy that's going to be a first round pick by any means. But as maybe an early day 3 kind of guy that could end up being a pretty strong contributor in the NFL. He's a guy that can play special teams and has the ability to defend in coverage. Obviously, needs a little bit more improvement in that area, but I feel like for what he is right now, I think he does an average job of playing in coverage. So Jack Kaiser, I feel like would be a great fit for the Eagles. Definitely one of those guys I feel like could be a leader out there on the field for the Birds, and wouldn't cost them a high draft pick. And again, I'm interested in kind of seeing how Kaiser's progression happens throughout the season, and perhaps maybe he jumps into a day 2 kind of situation there. I just think this guy is consistent. He's solid. He plays fundamentally well, and that is something we can't really say we have a lot of at the linebacker position over the past couple of years for the Eagles.
Just major shout out to not just Jack Kaiser, but Notre Dame in general and their defense. They made Connor Wegman
he looked
pretty bad. Yeah. And we both had him in our top 10 preseason Heisman rankings. Connor Wegman, something big time for Connor Wegman. Jack Kaiser, Xavier Watts, they were swarming. So major shout out. That's a really good one. According to PFF, week 1, Jack Kaiser had 5 tackles. He had 1 pressure, 2 run stops. He was targeted twice in coverage and allowed 0 receptions. So he's a good one, man. That's a good one. I have a linebacker in this Texas-Michigan matchup I can't wait to talk to you about, and I think you're going to be falling in love with this guy. But we'll get to that in a little bit. The guy I'm talking about this week is not a linebacker, but it is a tight end. Surprise, surprise. And he is in our game of the week, but it's a guy that I really, really like. It's Colston Loveland for the Michigan Wolverines. Became one of the best tight ends in college football last year. He's just an elite athlete, 6'5". He's nearly unguardable due to his physical tools. He's going to blow up during the draft process due to like his measurables and things like that. He had a open target rate last year of 88.7%. That ranked 95th percentile for all FBS tight ends. He's a smooth, streamlined athlete, very explosive, excellent change of direction, excellent route runner. It's hard to find tight ends that can separate independently like Colston Loveland can do. I just think he has excellent hands. And I think if Michigan has a chance at beating the Longhorns this weekend, I expect Colston Loveland to be a big part of that. He's a legit red zone threat, probably tight end 1 of the 2025 NFL draft. I think he's got first-round talent. He's not the greatest run blocker, but his receiving ability and athleticism are just both top-notch. And Michigan clearly needs this guy to have a big game because that's where the questions begin and end for Michigan. It's the offense, not the defense. Colston Loveland, man, and did you get a chance to see him? He had like 8 touchdowns.
Absolutely. No, I was I think heading into this draft process or as we're going along, obviously everybody knows I'm a big linebacker guy, but I'm also a very big tight end guy, and that's mostly because of shouting from the rooftop about getting a tight end too in Philadelphia. So I think I've kind of become a tight end guy on the offense, and yeah, Loveland's definitely up there. If he's not one, he's number 2, and yeah, he definitely just seems to have an ability to kind of dominate any smaller linebacker, that's for sure. But he has a very decent route tree so far, and he's just reliable. And again, that's I feel like the main thing for a tight end, especially in college, is to be that quarterback reliability person. And man, Loveland can kind of do a little bit of everything, and I definitely love him and kind of excited to see him in this upcoming matchup.
Yep. Anything else before we roll into game of the week?
No, I think we're good.
All right, let's get into our week 2 game of the week. Week 2 game of the week, no doubt, Michigan versus Texas. There's a lot of good games as well. 4 more games we'll be talking about a little bit later in the show. But our game of the week is Michigan versus Texas. Where do you want to start? Do you want to lead off or you want me to?
You go ahead.
All right, let's start with Michigan. They are absolutely loaded with prospects on the defense, especially. Just some quick names to know. Mason Graham, probably a top 10 pick in this year's draft. He is a defensive tackle, just a huge impact player. Will Johnson, another top 10 pick likely in 2025. He's a corner, tons and tons of talent. Jayshawn Barham is a transfer from Maryland. He's a linebacker with a lot of size, a lot of physicality, loves to blitz off the edge. Kenneth Grant, another defensive tackle for Michigan, along with Mason Graham, form, I think, the best duo at defensive tackle in the country. And then we get to some other guys. We'll get to that in a little bit. But you look at Texas, they are led by Kelvin Banks Jr. He's a left tackle for them the last 2 years. He is an absolute stud. They also have a transfer out of Alabama named Isaiah Bond. Kind of a shifty kind of guy. He's definitely a name to watch because he's going to be Quinn Ewers' go-to guy down the field. And then obviously Quinn Ewers, Andrew Makuba, I feel like we've talked a lot about on this show. He is another transfer from Clemson this past offseason. Really good talent at safety. Amari Neblack is a tight end, just a pure athlete. And then we get Alfred Collins, who is a defensive tackle for the Texas Longhorns. When you look at Michigan, man, like they really battled last year, dude. That 6-game suspension with Jim Harbaugh, with the sign stealing controversy. And this is their test of the year, man. I think their biggest strength is their defense. But the biggest concerns for the Wolverines lie on the other side of the field. I think what the Michigan Wolverines do at quarterback is the story. They had a guy named Alex Orji, who I thought was penciled in as the starter, and he didn't even start. It was a different quarterback. We're going to see how much Texas blitzes this guy. It's going to be really exciting. But the interesting thing about Michigan is the thing Michigan needs to do is just, I think, all about ball management and limiting turnover-worthy plays. I thought that was J.J. McCarthy's secret sauce. He did a really good job with that last year. Very rarely led to turnovers. And when you look at the matchups, I think the most interesting part about this one is that, especially with Texas, is that Michigan's biggest weakness, which is their passing attack and ability to get downfield, goes up against the biggest weakness for Texas, which is their secondary. So definitely a fun thing to watch. Ryan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
Okay, cool. So that's a little bit about Michigan and Texas. With Texas, it's all about keeping Quinn Ewers healthy, man. They've got a really fun group at running back. They've got a stout defensive front. Much of Texas's offensive weaponry is gone from last year, but they really hit the transfer portal hard, and they lost their top 5 receivers and their leading rusher to last year's draft, but they still have a lot of fun guys there for the Texas Longhorns. Anything you want to add between Michigan and Texas?
Yeah, listen, obviously the Michigan defense is coming in as basically the best defense in the nation. And, Texas certainly has a tall task. And as you said, keeping Quinn Ewers healthy, they got to keep him upright. So I think, a lot of quick plays, a lot of, stuff like that, just to kind of, that way the defense can't just pin their ears back and go after Ewers. But I think this is, you look at Michigan, they theoretically have not lost a regular season game since October 30th of 2021. We're talking a long time there. That's almost 3 years. But Texas certainly also has themselves a very tough schedule this year. Not only playing Michigan, but they get to play Georgia, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and certainly this is going to be their first big test. And this is, the first big test of the post Harbaugh era. I think the Longhorns, though, certainly have replaced a lot of those lost offensive players to the best of their ability. And they still have one of the best quarterbacks in the nation in Quinn Ewers. I don't know. I think this could be a slobber knocker if there ever was one this early in the season. And honestly, I feel like this could go anyway.
Yeah, the star of the show is Quinn Ewers, man. He had some epic moments last season. He torched Alabama early on last year. I think he's solid at getting the ball down the field. I think his best throws are deep shots. He puts a lot of arc on the ball. He kind of reminds me of like Russell Wilson during his Seattle days. He's got some zip on it. He can drive balls into that intermediate range of the field. He can really make any throw. And I think Texas does a great job of scheming around him. Like, he's a really good fit for that RPO offense. I still think he struggles on true dropbacks. He struggles against pressure. He's got average mobility, which he struggles to escape the pocket at times. I'm not the biggest Quinn Ewers guy, but he had his moments last year and he delivered in some big situations. So major shout out to him. The other guy I'm looking at is Donovan Edwards. Donovan Edwards, I think, is a bigger name than he is like a producer on the football field. I'm still kind of waiting to see what this guy's all about. He's a popular player. I think he was on the cover of NCAA college football NCAA.
Right. That's that's funny you say that, because obviously some of the names on there are people that like a Quinn Ewers or even a Quinshon Judkins. But yeah, then there was Donovan Edwards, and you're like, all right, well, I know about him, but like, is he really one of those guys that needs to be on there?
Yeah. This is a guy that did not rush for more than 52 yards in a single game last year. He's a former 5-star recruit. He has to be a weapon for the Wolverines in terms of churning positive yards, gaining first downs, controlling the clock, keeping the ball away from Texas's offense. So keep an eye out for that guy. And Ryan, I have one more for you that I think you're going to love. The guy that I want to watch this weekend is his name is, let me find it. Come on. Let me scroll down. There it is. Anthony Hill, linebacker for Texas Longhorns. Very, very interesting prospect. He's a sophomore. He's a major breakout star for this season. He was named a semifinalist for the Sean Alexander Award last year, which was given to the top freshman in all of college football. He ranked second to, I think, Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs for Alabama, who was sensational last year. He transferred to Ohio State. So Anthony Hill has a high pedigree, high level of talent. He ranked second among the Longhorns in tackles last year. And this guy's going to be really fun to watch because he's replacing Jalen Ford at middle linebacker for the Texas Longhorns defense. He led the team in tackles this past week in week 1. So I would keep an eye out on this guy. I think he's a future superstar. Texas loves to kind of pump these guys out. So make sure you watch Anthony Hill in this one.
Yeah, I thought you were going to mention one of the Moors. Each Texas and Michigan, they have kind of like they're either an edge or linebacker, kind of one of those that can do them all. But Trey Moore out of Texas, and then Derek Moore out of Michigan. Two really great, edge linebacker prospects coming up in this upcoming draft. So,
yeah, there's a lot of NFL draft prospects in this one, as you would expect, and it's gonna be really fun. And I think high level guys, high level.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be, like I said, this might be one of the toughest ones to kind of predict. As I feel like there's a strong case for each school to come out on top. And where obviously, like last week, the game of the week, Georgia and Clemson, I think most people thought, all right, well, this is definitely a Georgia game. Thought it'd be a little bit closer. Obviously it wasn't. Maybe early on it was, but
I got one right.
Yeah, they're right. Exactly. You got one.
All right, let's get into our player of the week predictions. All right, player of the week predictions. Let's look back to week 1. Ryan, we both had players that I thought were winners of the week. So there's no losers by any means, but we do have to pick a winner unless we give each other 1 point. All right, so Jackson Arnold, you picked against Temple, 17 of 25 for 141 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 34 yards rushing. I picked Nico Iamaleava out of Tennessee, who went 22 of 28 passing, 318 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 6 yards rushing. I think it's Nico. That's just my take. What's your take?
Well, listen, I think it's hard because, where Jackson had the more, more touchdowns. I thought, Nico certainly looked a little better. Whereas it's Jackson, I guess, again, I feel like he was just kind of going through the motions. Man, he made some dimes too. So
You did.
I don't know. This one's tough, man. This might have to be one of those where we just call it. I don't know.
All right, let's just split it. We'll split it, but we both get 1 point.
We did a great job. Let's both give us the point, so we can go on, and we could at least be proud of ourselves for picking guys that didn't suck.
All right, let's get into our Player of the Week predictions for Week 2. We'll get into total scores and stuff when we get to our picks segment. Ryan, you want to go first or second?
Why don't you go first? I went first in the last one.
You bet. For Player of the Week, Week 2, I'm going to go with one of my guys, man. I've been a huge fan of his. Last year, I thought he was a first-round talent, and this offseason, he transferred to Miami. I'm going Cam Ward, quarterback for the Hurricanes. Lived up to his expectations in Week 1, man. He was everything as you would expect. The feet, the arm. He's a smooth mover in and out of the pocket. He started his first game for the Hurricanes yesterday and had touchdowns on 5 of his first 8 drives, 26 of 35 passing, 385 yards, three touchdowns, and he also had 33 yards on the ground, man. This guy is an elite arm talent, excellent change of direction ability. Miami plays Florida A&M this weekend. The Florida A&M Rattlers are 2-0, but have won both games by a combined 5 points. And the teams are Norfolk State and South Carolina State. So I think Cam Ward is going to put up another great game in Week 2. And make sure you check out the chemistry between Cam Ward and wide receiver Xavier Restrepo, man. Elite. If you haven't heard of the name Xavier Restrepo, there he is. He's a dynamic route runner, more of that slot kind of guy that we always tend to fall in love with. That would be a great guy to kind of grow under Jahan Dotson as a depth piece, as like a day 2 depth piece. So I'm going Cam Ward. Who are you going with?
Nice. Listen, I've always said that I love it when Miami is in kind of that spotlight. And man, they beat down the Gators in the swamp, which is, listen, the Florida isn't the Florida Gators of old, but still, that's a tough place to do that. So hats off to Cam Ward. But I'm gonna actually go with another transfer, and that's Will Howard out of Ohio State. I thought he looked amazing this past week, going up against the feared Akron Zips. He was 17 of 28 for 228 and 3 touchdowns. He also had another, 18 on the ground when he needed to get out of the pocket. But his, connection there with wide receiver Jeremiah Smith, I thought was, kind of the highlight of the offense there. Smith had 6 catches, 92 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Chip Kelly there being the coordinator, you could definitely show that this offense has a certain excitability, and Will Howard certainly seems to be the quarterback that's kind of best suited, honestly. I thought he played really well. They have an upcoming matchup with the Western Michigan Broncos, who, let's be honest, aren't the greatest. They're not even the best directional Michigan team out there, but yeah, listen, I just really am excited to kind of see this Ohio State offense. And even in the game against the Zips, they didn't really lean on their rushing attack as much as I thought they would. They didn't need to, obviously. They won 52-6. Where Henderson only had 8 carries, Judkins only had 13. So yeah, listen, I think this offense is certainly something to watch. I can honestly expect Will Howard to continue to dominate. I'm expecting 4 touchdowns plus from Will Howard this weekend against the Broncos.
That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, let's get into our picks for week 2. Let's do it. All right, dude. We hit on all of our picks from our side picks from last week. Yeah, we did pretty good. They all hit. So that's good. Let's get to our game of the week picks. We both went with Georgia. Well done there. LSU plays tonight.
In about an hour.
Yep, we'll be watching that for sure. You had Notre Dame beating Texas A&M. Excellent job. I did not. And then vice versa, I had Miami beating Florida. Not so great for you.
Nope.
And then I did pick West Virginia to beat Penn State. Again, West Virginia looked terrible, man.
Yeah.
I thought they were a lot better.
Florida looked pretty terrible too. So, we both could have a bad one there. But it looks like either way, I win the picks this week.
Yep, you got the picks, and we tied on player of the week. And yeah, you had a good week, man. You had a good week. Let's get into our picks of week 2, leading off with Michigan versus Texas. Texas had a dominant 52-0 win over Colorado State. The Wolverines opened up with a 30-10 home victory over Fresno State. And this is only going to be the second time ever meeting between these two programs. The Longhorns took the first one, 38-37 at the 2005 Rose Bowl. If it's anything like that, oh my gosh, we're in for a treat Saturday at noon. Who are you going with, man? Michigan or Texas?
Oh, this one honestly is going to keep me up at night predicting this one. Listen, Michigan has certainly been dominant, but Texas certainly seems to know how to knock off some of the big boys. And honestly, I feel like if this was this is in Michigan, right? Or is it in Texas?
It is in Michigan. Yep.
Yeah. I feel like if this was in Texas, I'd be saying Texas right now. But I'm going to go with Michigan in an extremely close game because it is hard to win in the Big House. They haven't lost there in it's been about 3 years. So my heart wants to say Texas, but in Michigan, I can't go against Michigan.
I love it. It's really just I'm not a believer in that offense. But then I said this. Then again, I said the same thing about Penn State last week, and I look like an idiot. The spread right now, there it is, 6.5, favoring Texas. I think Texas's offense is just excellent. I mean, I go back to when Quinn Ewers upset Alabama. So I think Quinn Ewers delivers in a big moment again, week 2. So I'm going Texas. Let's go to Nebraska. This is where it gets a little more difficult. Nebraska versus Colorado. I'm going Nebraska. I am not a believer in Colorado. I think individual-wise, yeah, Travis Hunter, he's got Heisman written all over him. Shedeur Sanders, first-round talent, no doubt about it. But there are some holes on that team that I just cannot ignore. And I think I'm going to go with a Nebraska team that is also got a young quarterback. He's a 19-year-old freshman. So that might be a little risky, but I like the Nebraska defense they were the 9th best defense last season in terms of EPA per play. They brought back 9 of their 13 defenders who played at least 300 snaps.
Yeah.
Cornerback Tommy Hill is a really good prospect to know. If this game was in Colorado, I'd probably lean Colorado, but it is in Nebraska, so I'm going to go Nebraska. What about you?
Yeah, same. I liked what I saw from Raiola. Again, I'm kind of with you there about Colorado. I think it's 90% hype on this team while they have, 2 or 3 really great players. It's a team as a whole that they're just not there yet. But I think this is going to still be a great game. But I think Nebraska holds the edge there. And again, being at home always helps.
Yep. Tennessee versus NC State. This should be another great game. I'm going Tennessee. I think they are just loaded on offense. 69 points last week, 700 yards of offense.
Yeah.
They're just ridiculous. NC State's a good team, but I am full on drinking the Kool-Aid on Nico Iamaleava. I think he is a star. Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I just don't think NC State has the defense to keep up with the Tennessee Vols offense there. And again, I think what we saw from Nico last week and that offense, it seems like a lot of teams are going to have struggles with that offense and what that Nico kid can do. So, yeah, give me Tennessee.
All right, let's move on to Oregon versus Boise State. Boise State escaped with a 56-45 road win over Georgia Southern in its opener. Ashton Jeanty is amazing. I think he's a first-round RB1 type of prospect. He had almost 300 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns, and he didn't play that much in the fourth quarter. Like he's insane. You look at Oregon, like box stat, the box score looked pretty good for Dylan Gabriel, but it was a tougher than expected opening matchup. They pulled out a 24-14 win over Idaho for Oregon, but I think I think Oregon better look crisp against Boise State because this has a little bit of an upset written all over it. But I'm going to go Oregon. What about you?
Yeah, listen. You're right. Oregon again. His first game didn't look as crisp, although man, Dylan Gabriel can sling that ball. Talk about looking good. He definitely did. It's the rest of the kind of team that needs to kind of catch up. But listen, I'm also going to go with Oregon. It's at Autzen Stadium, so I don't think Boise State has enough to keep up and overcome the zoo there in Oregon.
All right, and then our last game of the week, Iowa versus Iowa State. Man, if you love rivalry games, we're big NFC East guys here. Like if you love low scoring, great defensive matchups, this is a must see. The last 6 games in this matchup have been decided by 10 points or less. Iowa and Iowa State are both very good in 2024. I think one of my main takeaways that I did a Winners of the Week on Iowa was their offense looked really good. And that's something where we haven't said in quite some time. Iowa has won 7 of the last 8 in the series. The teams have split the last 2. The Hawkeyes hold a 47-23 advantage in the all-time series and won last year's edition 20-13. You look at Iowa, they beat Illinois State 40-0. Iowa State took down North Dakota 21-3. Give me Iowa here. I think this is one of the more balanced teams in college football. I think they're a dark horse threat for the college football playoff.
Yeah, actually, you stole my thunder there. Yeah, I fully believe in the Iowa team there, and again, you're right. These guys this is definitely one of those NFC East type where throw records out, throw the teams out. It's always going to be close. It's always going to be a slugfest. I just tend to give college football, home field does matter. And it is at Iowa, it's at Kinnick Stadium. And I just think right now, I think this is a one-score win from Iowa. They get out of there with the victory and live to fight another day. But you're right. I think Iowa in a very busy Big Ten, I think could surprise a few teams there as they have a tough schedule. And I hate to kind of agree with you on the last couple here, but I just think they're all just very close and just I'm kind of just go with my heart here, but yeah, I think Iowa has to win this game if they want to compete.
Yeah, they had a young defensive tackle blow up in week one. Aaron Graves, he was one of my winners of the week. 3 sacks, 6'4" defensive tackle. Like Iowa has these guys all across the defense. I think it's going to be too much for the Cyclones to handle. All right, so next up, to finish this thing out, we picked 3 teams that we think are locks for week 2. We were 100% last week, but again, we can't do any repeats. So we're going to do this every week, and we can't pick teams we've already chosen. So do you want to go first or second?
I'll go first. Just let me know. Just tap me on the shoulder if I pick a team I already chose, because I am not going to remember
I got you.
whatsoever. But all right, so first up, after their impressive win over Texas A&M, I'm actually going to go with Notre Dame over Northern Illinois. They're playing at Notre Dame Stadium. I think the line is at maybe 30 right now. But Northern Illinois, again, usually has that one player that kind of makes it into draft consideration. But I don't know if that's them this year. The Huskies are not a very good team. They did dominate Western Illinois, if you've ever heard of them, this past week. But I think Notre Dame just got tested, hard-fought battle, and I just think they're going to kind of be riding the high of that, and they're going to come and dominate the Huskies as they play in front of their home crowd. So, give me Notre Dame. Do you want me to go all 3 or
No, because we're going to do a snake draft.
Oh, right, yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, yeah.
I don't want you to take mine.
Yeah, also very true.
Mine, I'm going to go Utah over Baylor. I thought Utah looked really good week 1. You look at Cam Rising, he's back. This is like the revenge tour for Cam Rising, quarterback. I thought tight end Brant Keithy looked really strong. I think he was in your top 10 tight ends. He wasn't in mine.
Yeah.
And he had 3 touchdowns. So I think Utah looks really strong this year. Give me Utah. They are 15.5 point favorites. And then to back that up, I am going to go Clemson over Appalachian State. I know Clemson. Last week I was down on them. I'm not a Cade Klubnik guy, but I thought their defense was really impressive at times. So I think they come back in a big way. No way they're going 0-2. So give me Clemson, who are 16.5 favorites.
Nice. All right. Next up, give me these guys are slowly becoming one of my favorite college football teams outside of my normal love for Pitt. Give me the 6th ranked Ole Miss.
Nice.
Over Middle Tennessee. You'll notice a theme. I love the directional state teams. The Central Michigan, the Middle Tennessee, the Western this, and all the teams that nobody really knows about. But listen, the line here is 40. This Ole Miss offense is absolutely deadly and lethal. They're playing at home in front of their home crowd. Middle Tennessee stands 0 chances in this one. I expect, if I'm a betting man, I'm betting Ole Miss to cover that 40 and more. This is going to be just an absolute slugfest. I almost feel bad for Middle Tennessee, but I don't. Next up, I am going to continue my trend of directional teams. Give me Ohio State
That's a good
over
one.
Western Michigan. Looking at Ohio State's schedule, this has got to be one of the easiest teams on their schedule. They're playing at home in Columbus, and listen, they look great. Obviously, I have their quarterback as my player of the week, so why not double down and make this one of my games of the week or my picks of the week? Ohio State will dominate the Broncos in front of their home crowd. I think the line in the last I saw was 39. So this should be a nice, easy win. My only problem with choosing Howard as my player of the week is I hope they don't dominate too much and they get taken out. That's the only drawback in choosing this type of game. But yeah, give me Ohio State over those Western Michigan, directional Michigan Broncos.
I will wrap this up with I'm going to go to the AAC. Give me Memphis over Troy.
Oh, I looked at that one. I like that one.
Just trying to get a team in here that I think should have an easy W. Memphis is a sneaky kind of good team. 10-3 last year. They beat Iowa State in their bowl game last season. They have a very good offense. Pretty much all come back this season again. Their defense is suspect, but Memphis over Troy is going to be my final pick. Again, we cannot do repeats moving forward, so it's going to get tight as season progresses.
I can only assume that when we're in, late November, we're going to be struggling as we're going to be like,
it's going to be hard.
I already got them. Nope. I already picked them. Nope. I already picked them.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So there are our 3 locks of the week, and that about wraps it up. Ryan, final thoughts, plugs? Time's yours.
Yeah, listen, college football is back. I hope everybody was able to watch as much as they could on Saturday, actually leading up the whole week, honestly, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and now Sunday, apparently. They were like, college football was like, screw it. The NFL isn't playing. Let's throw a game on Sunday. So that's 4 great days of college football leading right into the professional games that are coming up the following Thursday. But yeah, Saturday I had the YouTube TV quad box going a couple of times, and man, what a nothing better than that. But yeah, listen, please make sure you follow us either on X or just follow along with us on YouTube. Make sure you are subscribed to EOP so you can get all of your college football information. But yeah, other than that, normally I don't think we're going to be going live tomorrow for the Football Smack Talk show, but normally Mondays at 6 for that 9 o'clock Party on Broad. Tuesday is the Best Eagles show in the nation. Birds of the Round Table at 8 o'clock. And then, of course, you can always find me here Sunday talking with this guy about some college football. And then, I forgot Tuesday as well, 9 o'clock. Sorry, Armchair Scouts, still new. I'm still trying to get the schedule down. But, honestly, we love all the support from everybody. Keep it up, share, like, follow, the whole 9 yards. That means the world to us. So we do appreciate that, guys. Thank you.
I put out – I don't know why I said I was going to do like a handful, but I put out 12 winners of the week from week 1. Shorts, highlights, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to wrap it up tomorrow. I'm going to do something new where last year I had just individual things. I'm going to put it all together in like 2 videos, actually. One video is going to be with my audio and talking about their performance and things I liked, things I didn't like. And then I'm going to do another video where it's just the highlights, just straight highlights of the top standouts from week 1. So that'll be dropping tomorrow, and that'll be a regular thing that comes out every single week. So be on the lookout for that. LSU versus USC real quick. They have 2 potential top 10 picks in this year's draft. Will Campbell a offensive tackle for LSU. He's arguably a top 5 pick, maybe even number 1 pick. He's a stud. And then you have Harold Perkins. He's just an elite pass rusher, Parsons-esque in some regards. So keep an eye out for that. Some other guys that I think you should be watching. Emory Jones Jr., another tackle for LSU that's really good, could be on the Eagles' radar. And then Kyron Lacey, a wide receiver out of LSU that's also very, very good. So, guys, thank you, everyone, for watching. He is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. I am Dibes, Mr. Crockpot. For Ryan, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.